Welcome to Season 5 of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast with Adina, Brian, Cris, and Steve, the biggest sci-fi podcast in the galaxy. The adventure is just beginning here at the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, and we invite you to come aboard the Starship Tangent. We know you'll enjoy the conversation, the laughter, the banter back and forth, and most of all, friends who love hanging out to talk about all things science fiction. Set your phasers to fun. Here we go.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, the show where we have really fun conversations about all things sci-fi. But before I forget, we are part of the Trek Geeks Network, where you can find other really cool podcasts like the Sci-Fi Sisters. Today, I want to talk about the maybe sci-fi classic, Explorers. Yes, the one with the dancing alien and a very young Ethan Hawke. To help me out and discuss this film to see if this actually is a classic are my usual hosts. Adina Mignona.
Hey, everybody.
Brian Donahue.
Hey, Cris, there are three types of people in this world. Those who can count and those who can't.
That's true. That's two people. I see what you did there. That's a funny.
Dad joke mode activated.
Excellent.
And me, Flicker Farkle.
Yeah.
There he is, Steve from California. There we go.
Awesome.
Say that fast 3 times, Steve.
Not at all.
Okay. All right. So now I'm still laughing at this joke.
You're welcome.
But we got to talk Explorers. I feel like we have to unpack this movie because this, for context of the viewers, is not a movie I've heard about. Really, this was just a movie that happened to be in my VHS collection when I was a kid, and so I threw it on one day, fell in love with it, and then just watched it periodically, but haven't seen it in maybe 15 years now. So I love it, but it's not a movie that I've heard people ever discuss before. What are your thoughts about the movie? What is everyone's overall thoughts on Explorers in 1985?
You want to go first, Adina? Please do.
I was going to say, if you haven't seen it, just listen to us talk about it, and then you can move on with your life.
Oh, that's it. Oh, jeez. Okay. I was hoping for a little more enthusiasm. That's
Hold on.
Okay,
Hold on. Can I say this?
No Moonfall.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, that's
please,
right.
No. There is the and only Moonfall. There is no other Moonfall. Yes. If there's another Moonfall and we find it, heaven help us.
Yes.
We'll find it.
Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, my dog was barking. I put my microphone on mute. But Christian, this is no Moonfall. Thank the Lord above.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Cris. It's no Starship Troopers either, if your name is Brian Donahue.
Okay.
I will watch this film before I watch Starship Troopers again. I'll tell you that right now. But I will say overall, this is a pretty cheesy film, but it does have some heart.
Yeah, I feel like there's heart.
It's not all there. This is, I think, a type of Star Trek 5 for sci-fi lovers. It's got some good things that are enjoyable, that are cute, that are charming, but is it a really good sci-fi film? No, but that's okay. I wasn't when I watched the trailer, I was like, okay, there's a reason I haven't heard a whole lot about this film, because I think also it suffers from there was just too many other really good sci-fi films in the 80s that this got lost. And I think this is obviously for a certain targeted audience too. Like, I think of Flight of the Navigator that probably was, I assume, more popular. E.T., stuff like that just was much better than this film was. But again, now I know. And I'll talk about the good stuff and some of the funny stuff too, I think, about the film. So,
all right. And Cris, when you'd mentioned about watching this, I was really excited. I really was. I was like, wow, Explorers. Oh, good choice. I think I said to you. And then I took off like with Enemy Mine, I took off my rose-colored glasses and I put on my regular glasses. Mm-hmm. And I watched this movie. And once again, the memory is better than the film itself. And
okay.
yeah. So, I mean, this is this is a real 80s movie.
Yep,
This is
that is
this
for sure.
is right up there. And part of its failure at the theater was that it came out the week after Back to the Future came out.
Oh, unfortunate.
Geez. Yeah,
unfortunate. They rushed it in. They were gonna. It says in notes about it that it was supposed to come out in August, but they moved it up sooner because they wanted the summer, and it got beaten to pieces.
And that's, when I saw after I watched it, I read the Wikipedia page on it, and they were talking about right in the front. It says it was rushed into production. It was never properly finished, so they stopped editing, which completely validated
Wikipedia.
When I was watching this. I'm like, why
It
do they
felt
just
weird.
keep having
Yeah.
these like shots where they're just a face shot of the kid, a face shot that no one's speaking. They just show the kid, they show the other kid, show the other kid. And it's like, why is this even here? What is this going on? And now that I see that they didn't completely edit it, here's what it looks like when you don't completely. And in fact, if I worked in the industry and someone was trying to cut my budget and tell me, look, you got to cut down your editing time, I would show them this movie and show them why that's a bad idea. Because while again, I was a little harsh. I do agree with Brian. There are some good moments. There is some heart in the movie. But yes, when you take all those things and then don't really complete the process, here's what you have.
It kind of felt. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, for me, because I feel like I liked it as much as I did when I saw it as a kid. But even as a kid, my issue was like, okay, I liked the first two acts. But then the third act, I feel like, okay, they do a thing, they talk to the aliens, they go home, and that's it. And I'm like, I felt like there was something missing. There wasn't like,
you're absolutely right.
They weren't at the lowest points, like, because if you look at like the classic 3-act structure, by the third act, you're supposed to be at the lowest point of the entire movie. The characters are supposed to be super low, and then they're supposed to come back and succeed. But there wasn't anything for them to really succeed.
They
with.
didn't. Right. So like that low point was, Ethan's character, his name was Ben. Ethan's character being very like disappointed that, he didn't get the resolution or the answers or something you're looking for. But that's really not that much of a low, and they're really right. Yeah.
Exactly. And they kind of, I found it interesting that they started playing all the clips because what they knew of Earth was all the television and movies, right?
And that was
they
cute.
Started why they a little too long maybe for me. I felt like they could have made their point a lot quicker. But when they started saying why they didn't come down to Earth themselves and why they had to bring them, all the war, they had reference to the day the Earth stood still, which we've covered on this
War
podcast.
Of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds, and
we should do
how
that
humans
soon.
shoot aliens and destroy alien ships, and that's why they didn't. And so there was kind of this moment, this crescendo moment that looked like they were, but they never got back to that. They never. There wasn't really well, give us time to change, or the dad comes in
and they didn't have a chance to explain this is movies. Okay, I mean they missed the whole Galaxy Quest bits of, hey, this isn't reality. This is just these are not the historic files, the historic data. This is just a movie.
Yeah, and when the dad came in, they were like, it was like the dad was like yelling forever and forever and forever. Also something that should have been like cut way back. It's like, okay, we kind of get that this is the dad, we kind of get that. So you get to the point, you get to where it's revealed, the kids understand a little sooner.
And it was, and I agree with Chris. I think if I'm here, you're right, Chris, is the first two acts were, okay, getting us to them actually out in outer space, getting into the alien spacecraft, which looked an awful lot like a Klingon ship, if you ask me.
Without the wings,
way the paneling was and everything. Yeah.
I gotta look at that again.
So, kind of interesting. And then they're inside the ship, and of course, it's it looks like sewers inside the ship. This very industrial looking thing. Kind of okay. And then the whole thing with the Brainiac kid and the alien kind of loving on him, just like weird.
Well, that's where Chris asked the question, cute or cringy? But that's another question.
Not talking about the aliens. I was talking about
just him with the girl.
It's just like, is that supposed to be charming? Was it charming? Because it's funny you say Back to the Future. It's like, hey, there's a parallel. It's like, okay, some kid creeping on a woman looking through her window.
Well,
and
not a woman, another girl his age.
Another girl.
There's a difference, but still,
yeah.
But I would say all through the 80s, especially if you watch like all the John Hughes movies, you know, it's all cringy today. I mean, so to some degree, it's like, that is what they did.
It's hard to judge it because it was the time.
Yeah. Well, and again, not that it makes it good, but that was the norm. So watching that kind of a thing in a movie or TV show, like I kind of feel like I have this memory of, you know, and not a memory of this movie in particular, but other movies like again, John Hughes movies are a good thing because like when I watch like Pretty in Pink right now and that kind of stuff, it's like, why did I just kind of watch this then and not cringe as much? And I think it was just because we were just all kind of like, this is just it. And just you know.
And again, I think the character was you know, a scientist, inventor, whiz kid who
you're talking about Wolfgang,
River Phoenix,
River Phoenix, who kind of, you know, nerdy, and so for him that was attention. He, you know, it was, I don't know, I see kind of what they were trying to go for, but it was just
I don't. Like that part,
the alien one was fine.
I'm not too worried about, but it's just like the Ethan Hawke.
What are you guys talking about then?
Like the Ethan, with the girl from
Hawke's
Class
character, right? Liking him.
Yeah, kind of creeping at her window. Gotcha.
We got to get to the bottom of this. How does he have her picture? Just to pull out of his pocket,
right? Carrying out her picture.
Polaroid from the tree. You took it from the tree one day.
That's exactly.
I'm just supposing. I don't
know. But that's the whole thing. Is just the way he talks about her. Like, I'm gonna get her as my girlfriend, and it's all. It's cliche. That interaction. No, Wolfgang with the alien. It's an alien. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that creeped me out. Maybe that's the homeschool side of me.
I agree with Brian. I don't disagree with you. I mean, to me, the whole bit with Ben and the girl in school. I mean, that's always in those types of films, just, you know, lamenting the pretty girl and you're the guy that's just another nerd and he's never going to get the girl. I mean, they've done that in, you know, Fast Time at Ridgemont High and especially Revenge of the Nerds, where the nerds are like, they're never going to get the pretty girls. It's just not going to happen.
Science.
But don't they have
Weird Science? Thank you. You're absolutely right. So and these are all 80s movies, so it's expected. But even the whole thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I was going to say, but even in the 80s movies, like don't the heroes usually have to prove themselves to be like, hey, like to make it like worthwhile, like this is how they win over the girl. They do something that's like, oh wow, this is something of that. But I felt like there wasn't really any of that. It's just
well, see, that's exactly it. Is no, well that's if you go, and again, I think the John Hughes movies are good examples of it. No, they're really not doing anything to win over, like. Not really.
Well,
not doing it.
And he doesn't really do that in this either. He doesn't really try to win over the girl. She just ends up getting the dream sequence at the end. She's part of the foursome now, or of them. They're all part of this now.
We know what you mean, Chris.
Yeah.
And I, you know, obviously the best part of this film is its musical score. By the great Jerry Goldsmith.
The score I liked a lot.
And Chris, if you listen to it, you might have caught it this time. There are hints of some themes in Trek. He's got and hints of his themes from the movie Hoosiers too, like as far as the same instrumentation. You can just, if I didn't see the opening credits and hadn't researched all that beforehand, I would have guessed it was a Jerry Goldsmith.
See, it's interesting because I didn't hear Star Trek stuff, but like there were certain parts where I got to go back and like look at the scenes from Independence Day, but there's a couple of scenes when they're in the military base and they're like can the ship fly? And they power it up for the first time and like, oh, we can upload the virus. I thought there was a musical cue from that, even though obviously Independence Day is much later, but I'm not sure. I've got to go back and watch it.
And a different composer too.
Yeah, different composer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. Jerry made me want to watch the whole film just to hear his score. And again, I think like the performances by everybody in this film are fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the performances by any of the actors. It was fun seeing a really young James Cromwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really,
this,
really young River Phoenix. That
really young Ethan Hawke. Yeah,
it took me a long time longer than it should have to realize that was River Phoenix. Yeah. I guess I missed the opening credits when I was watching it. I guess I wasn't paying that much attention. Okay. And so I didn't know, but I'm watching this and I'm like, God, this kid looks familiar. This kid looks familiar.
Yeah.
Cris, do you mind if I go back to something you were talking about earlier about the first, second, and third act?
Yeah, let's do it.
One of the biggest problems of this film is in the very first act, we meet the three boys.
Mm-hmm.
You have the dreamer, whose mother is like, oh, that's so nice about you, in the form of Ben. You've got Wolfgang, who lives in this completely dysfunctional house that is bordering on insanity, and he is constantly being bullied by the kids at school.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, you've got the last kid, who's Darren, and he lives in a terrible condition where his father can't have a job. He's a drunk, possibly. And at the end of the film, they don't resolve these issues. Nothing is resolved. He's still going to get bullied. His mom's never going to believe that he actually went in a spaceship. And his dad, will he ever have a real life or home with his father, who has a girlfriend because his mom is gone? So they didn't resolve that. It was almost like when they ended the film and they have the new sequence with the new schematic that they're given by the aliens. Was their intention to be an Explorers 2, where they would have used this new schematic to develop a new system and resolve these issues? But it didn't happen. So we're left with, unresolved issues at the end of the film. And
well, it cost, what did I read? $25 million to make. It only made $9 million. Thank you, Back to the Future. I don't know, did any other film make any money with that film coming out?
Look at the quality. I mean, Back to the Future was a fantastic film in all respects.
Well-made movie.
Yeah. So sorry, but Back to the Future deserved. It's not. Back to the Future deserved it.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Sure. I'm not saying this film. There have been other films though that are made independently, poor quality, like not blockbuster quality filming. But were good enough and got enough at the box office that then they were able to upgrade.
Well, sure.
I mean, if you think of films like what's the wildly popular Dracula books that came out, they made the first film.
The Anne Rice Interview with a Vampire?
No, more teen driven.
Oh, you're talking Twilight?
Twilight.
That first film was not top-notch quality.
No, it was rough.
Definitely cheaper, more independent. And I watched this. I don't understand how this is a worldwide phenomenon, but it did wildly successful. And then the next films were much more higher quality.
Consider this. You said this movie cost $25 million to make. Star Wars was made on a $10 million budget. Aliens was made on the cheap. The Terminator was made on the cheap, but these are quality made movies with great sets and great special effects. Whereas this film definitely, and great editing, whereas this film definitely looks like it was built from the leftovers from a junkyard.
Yeah. Much as the theme of the film. The word for the day, folks, is editing.
Editing. But also just story too, because you can make like a complete story without having a massive budget. Like maybe even with the stuff with the resolving the issues with the dad, it's like, okay, fine. If you want your character to have dad issues or one of them, you should try and resolve some aspect of it. Or if you can't resolve it, maybe just don't even include that as part of the storyline. Well, I just feel like a lot of that can go right back to the script. And then, of course, editing will help you.
Yeah.
Actually,
but then the same thing applies
that
the alien kids had the same thing. They had parents who didn't understand them. And that was what Joe Dante films and films that are even going back to the 50s, where the teenagers know more than the adults when it comes to the invasion by aliens. The invasion of the saucer men and stuff, where the teenagers they're cool. They know what's going on. They understand. And the adults are like, what? Even The Blob with Steve McQueen. The teenagers know that this is a horrible creature, but the adults are like, so what? I don't care. And it's kind of the same thing in this theme where the kids are smarter than the adults and the adults have got problems.
Except for the one FBI guy, not FBI,
sheriff,
the one sheriff who's like, it's like, okay, that's it. He just goes, those kids, good job.
You get the impression that he also got the dreams as a child and he never acted on them. That's how I read that kind of into the film. That's a Joe Dante favorite is Dick King. He was in Gremlins.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he and Jackie Joseph, and that was like a tribute to the original film, The Little Shop of Horrors, where both of them appeared in that movie.
The Steve Martin one or the old one?
No, the original black and white, the original one.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes, they make a musical out of probably one of the cheapest made horror films of all time, Little Shop of Horrors. But
the Steve Martin one is hilarious and great. Yes, with the musical and everything. I love the Steve Martin one.
So what was I going to say? So I wanted to pivot a little bit just because like the plausibility. How did we feel about the plausibility that this kid has a dream, and I guess it's from the aliens? He draws a circuit. Then the smart guy Wolfgang makes the circuit, attaches it to an Apple computer, and then all of a sudden it creates this bubble that they can control and it can fly and do all these things. How did we feel about that aspect?
So
is it something that you could.
I like the dream part, the dream, as a mechanism of communication. We've seen that in some other science fiction to include in Star Trek. So that part is cool. The fact that then he was able to take his dream and communicate it to his friend, draw it accurately enough to communicate his friend is hard, but not difficult. But now when Wolfgang started building it and they could not control it, that was where I was starting to have a hard time, because the way it was so out of control, it's like, oh my God, they should have accidentally killed themselves.
Yes.
Like it's like 5 miracles deep that they did not accidentally hurt or kill one, themselves.
So I love it.
That's where I lose it.
So 2 things. One, it seemed it was because like the cat, it seemed like for whatever reason, the cat stepping on the things caused all that, which is, you're right. You're right. The first time they get it.
Yeah. The bullet ball that goes flying through.
They didn't see it. It was invisible at first.
Destroyed a lot of good books, Adina. That must have made you very upset.
I know. Right.
So Dill always has the best lines. I love watching movies with her. She always comes up with the funniest things. So the second time when Ethan Hawke is like, hey, can I touch that? And Wolfgang's like, yeah, go ahead. She turned to me, is like, this is why men die before women, because they're doing this kind of stuff. It's like
absolutely.
At what point do you think this is a good idea? It's not like, and she's like, it's not like he tested this for years and years and built this.
Sweetie, that live wire isn't electrical. Don't worry. Let me pick it up and move it. Okay. Yeah.
But you're right. They should have been killed.
The way it was going, yes.
I've got 4 words for you people.
Oh, please.
I've got 4 words for you guys.
Say it.
Willing suspension of disbelief. Obviously, it was hard for you guys on this
Cris
film.
asked the question. What did we think about believability here?
Yeah, because usually, because I feel like with movies, yes, you're right, Brian, that they all, like, we're all Trek fans. Of course, we're going to keep saying that word. And you have to be willing to suspend your... You know what I'm just trying to say.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, thank you.
But
it's just like there are times when it's like, is this too far for you to be like?
And I think usually if we feel it's too far, it's because the quality of the storytelling, the character development, the editing, there it is. The word of the day is editing.
Ding, 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 ding.
Everyone
Hold
take a
on.
drink.
Hold on. Yeah, take a drink.
I
Okay.
think that if this would have been, if this would have been on the level and quality across the board of just because they're Back to the Future, maybe we would have bought it a little more. If the aliens looked weren't so cartoonish,
yes,
maybe we would have bought it more.
There's a few tweaks. This had the makings of something much better.
Yes.
I think there's a handful of tweaks that could have happened. I think this could be ripe for a modern day remake.
That's interesting.
I think there's a remake where, and here's how I would do it.
Is this a challenge?
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Let's do it.
Sure, why not? Okay, here's how I do it. So the aliens are sending out messages and the kid picks it up on his computer, not in his brain while he's sleeping, because now kids these days are, so back in 1985, only the Wolfgangs had computers, not every kid had one. Now every kid has one. So the messages are getting picked up by the kid's computer in some way, shape, or form. And so, yes, one of the kids, at least out of the group, were like, hey, we can build this. Let's build it. This looks like schematics. Let's see what happens if we build it. So yes, they build it, but then, do that part in a way where it doesn't look like it's going to kill them, right? Like if they mess up, and I think you could easily do that. And then, let them construct some kind of funky, steal the person's like broken down car or whatever to make something and get, encapsulated, still go into space, drop the whole crush on the girl thing. Cause that's completely, you don't need that. It does not help anything and whatever. And so, you have them go meet aliens. But then when they're out there meeting the aliens, and yes, the aliens can still be kids and they're not revealing they're kids. That's fine. But then have just a little something extra happen up there. And there's like dozens of things you could do. And you could still have the parents come out and reveal and be like, wait a second, dude. But then that gets part of what resolves. And then they come back and totally. Oh, there could be a remake of this. Okay, done.
I think one of the charming. I want to focus on a positive thing for just a minute,
please.
Okay, one of the charming parts of this film that made me smile was Dick Miller's character, Charlie Drake. He was the helicopter pilot. When he's chasing him around, he's trying to find the secret to the UFO and everything because he saw it and everything. When he's chasing him and then he sees the ship go up and then he's like, go get him or whatever he says, like, I forget the exact line.
Yeah.
Or look at you, son. Or, like he became excited about the adventure. That whole scene was well done and had the charm factor and the adventure. And I gotta say, Jerry Goldsmith's, he tried real hard to make this a better film than it actually was. If I'm telling you guys, without his music, this film would be way worse.
Brian,
he adds some energy to it that it needed.
Brian,
I
wrote those same things down in my notes. Just what you said. That his character was okay. Any one of us could be those kids in that movie. Because we've all looked up to the sky and thought, when I was a kid in the 60s, we'd see satellites going across the sky as we would camp out, and we thought that they were aliens. We were hoping that maybe somehow we could get contacted by aliens. So the dream of this film is really, it's at its core of hoping and dreaming and it happening. And you're right, the character of the sheriff, he represented the adults who still had that same feeling. And we're now the adults who I think we had that same feeling.
For yourself.
Huh?
I said, speak for yourself.
You don't have the dream, Adina?
No. Calling yourself an adult.
I'm sorry.
The adult word on me.
Well, we are legally adults. Okay. We are over the, we're past the drinking age. We're past the voting age. But we're still kids at heart. And we still feel like if we had that opportunity, we'd go for it. We'd want it.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's the charm of this film. It's kind of wasted on the youth. It's not the he didn't be able to go along with them. Maybe he's the chaperone or something, that he could have
it just
joined
feels
in
like,
on the
again,
mission.
like a good storyline, like a cool character. I love that idea. There's a cop out there, sheriff, who has always wondered his whole life, and now he's actually seeing it happen. But they just like he goes, oh, that's cool. And they go up, and then you don't see him again. It's like he's something. If you're going to have a character like that, they have to either make them part of the whole movie or have them come back in the third act for something crucial.
Yeah. Where he finds the kids at the end and he says, "What happened? Tell me. I got to know. I've always wanted to be what you're doing. What did you do?"
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the thing sinks in the lagoon, which is the same lagoon from I believe Jaws, but anyway, it's at the Universal Studios backlot. He doesn't even get back to finding out from them what happened, since he's the only one that knows what really happened.
He should have been flying in the sky, not the girlfriend or fake girlfriend. He should have been up there with those guys. It did have some charm. There were moments. I mean, I thought they captured the adventure and Ethan Hawke just like, come on, guys, think about it over and over. Think about it,
Yeah.
Like there are some moments in this film. I love the dog. I love how they calm down the dog by giving him chewing gum, and he loves chewing gum. The cat is humorous. I love Wolfgang's family. Weird as they were, and the kid in the mask.
Dad running around with an oxygen mask on his nose or something.
Yeah.
What was he saying? Bomb. Where's the bug bomb?
The bug bomb
or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I thought was really cute was that they named their ship Thunder Road after the Bruce Springsteen song. And so I want to shout out to Jesse Jackson, who I know sometimes listens to our show. He has a podcast called Set Lusting Bruce, which is a Bruce Springsteen fan podcast.
Okay.
I was a guest on it. I was a guest on it twice. And even though I'm not like the hugest Bruce Springsteen fan, but ever since then, I can't think of Thunder Road or any Bruce Springsteen without thinking about Jesse and his podcast. So I thought that was super cute.
Another guy from New Jersey. Proud of it.
Yes.
Nice. I just, again, this is, there are other films I will not watch ever again. This one, because I have kids.
Oh.
If it comes up, I might let them watch it. Because again, I don't like films where the kids are highlighted and they just make the parents look like idiots. This film did a better job than other 80s films at treating the parents with respect. As a parent, you're concerned with these things, right? And so, but it was, again, Starship Troopers. Nope. The other one, I can't remember. No Moonfall. Nope. But this one I might with my kids.
Brazil.
But
the other film you're thinking of, Brian.
That could be.
So I watched this in like over 3 evenings.
Wow.
So Frank kind of started out watching it with me. My older son started out watching with me, and my younger son finished watching it with me.
I was surprised it took so long to get to the aliens.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when we got there, I was like, please go back to it was much better before the aliens.
Well, and the spaceship, once again, you have this giant spaceship for 2 alien children. And the whole thing is designed like Dr. Seuss had made it. There's smoke, there's great passageways.
Dude,
it's almost like they're
they're at the amusement park.
Thing. Yeah, I mean, it was like.
Did that ever get explained? I don't remember.
Nope.
The spider thing?
Just was,
I thought it was
robot.
for like
it
was like
spider.
disinfecting them or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I guess is like a deep cut if you think back to War of the Worlds because they keep mentioning it, but.
Well, or mention where they were talking about germs. They don't come down to Earth because of germs.
Yeah,
that's true.
Which is like a War of the Worlds.
Okay, that makes thanks for closing that circle for me, guys. You're
right.
Yeah, I didn't get it till just now either.
But what was the it just really was that necessary? Did it contribute to the story?
Well, it made you think like, oh my God, they're going to be you add a little peril that this thing is coming at them. What's it going to do? What's it going to happen to them? It does nothing. It just sniffs them and touches them.
And I loved the we're really going where no man has gone before.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke quote, there was a nod there
Well, there are a lot of mentions of things. You saw the Day the Earth Stood Still, which we talked about on a prior episode, but also they referenced Forbidden Planet. They just said the movie name Forbidden Planet once. So there's a lot of those little. Which, of course, if you are a science fiction fan, that's cute. That's really cute.
You know what was great about what I loved a scene in this film too is Ethan Hawke as he's watching one of the Alien Attacks Earth type movies. I can't remember which one it was.
War of the Worlds, I think.
No. It was Robert Picardo as the bad guy or whatever. Star Killer.
I did not catch that till the end credits.
Can we?
Right, yeah. So I loved Ethan Hawke watching that. His eyes. That was a really good acting job in that scene because he was totally enthralled, and that's how I remember watching Star Trek, The Next Generation in particular, but also the original. That's how I remember watching Forbidden Planet for the first time. And so for me, that might be one of the most charming scenes in the movie for me because it made me go, oh wow, he gets science fiction. He's enthralled by it. He's a dreamer.
And he's also tolerant of a poorly made science fiction films like Star Killer,
right?
With the
it's really great.
The out of sync vocal, the cheap sets, the cheap effects, the bimbo girl that's in it, and he looks like he's from Flash Gordon of the 1980s.
Yeah,
it was more like that. I mean, it was cute, and they're at the drive-in, which is again another Joe Dante, Steven Spielberg era from the 1980s where you're living in suburbia and everything is great and you just go to the drive-in with your best girl and you watch the worst film you could possibly find.
I was going to say...
Did you really watch it, though?
Hey.
Anyways, moving right along. I wasn't. That
took a minute.
Before
I'm
my
sorry.
time.
That took a minute too.
That's why you took her to the worst film you could find, right?
That's right. Let me put my arm around you, honey. This is a scary scene, okay?
Right. Not that I know anything about that.
Never.
Different generation.
I know.
Different generation.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was going to say my favorite.
Where do we go from there? I'm sorry, Chris.
All I could say is, so my favorite, the thing that always stood out to me, and I'm like, this still actually holds up and holds my interest, is all the dream stuff with the circuit board. Like that stuff I thought was really cool, and like when he's flying over and you're seeing the little pieces being added.
What movie did that remind you of? What
Tron.
Disney movie did? Yes,
Tron.
Absolutely. It was the same type of effects.
Wait, are you about to say you've never seen Tron?
No, of course not. I would never say such a thing.
Well, I guess the point is at some point we're going to have to talk about Tron.
Truth-o-matic. Chris, have you seen the movie? The original Tron?
No.
Okay.
We're going to have to do that one time on the show.
We haven't done confession time in a long time.
Oh my gosh, really?
And you're going to say, how could you have not seen it? I'll say, I've just never watched the movie.
Well, again, and I'll say you were born years after the original Tron came out, so not
still,
too
it is a
surprised.
sci-fi classic. Right?
It is.
My experience, not my experience with Tron. Whenever I think of Tron, I always think about how Tron 2 came out in 2010 and people hated it.
Yes,
and it just like bombed.
Yep.
I actually want to go and give Tron, like classic Tron.
No, you have to. The original. Yeah. The original is so good because they took computer graphics and. It's just a remarkable film. It really is. The quality of the special effects in that are just.
Did they make a third Tron?
I don't know about that.
Don't know.
I will look.
I guess I'm gonna have to disagree. I didn't think the second Tron film was all that bad.
I just remember like just being around when like I just remember hearing about it and people being disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think it was a success at the box office, but
yeah, like I don't know if it's one of those where it's like
they went back and they brought back Lloyd. Oh God, the actor.
Yeah, Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. They brought back Jeff Bridges, and it wasn't. It really didn't work. He was trapped in the machine. They finally find him, but it didn't have the character that David Warner brought to the original one as the evil leader.
They did make. I think they made. It's called Tron Legacy.
So
I think
Tron
they did make
Legacy
a third one.
That is the sequel. No, that's the second
sequel.
one. That's the sequel. And then there's Tron Uprising, which was a TV series.
Oh, I don't remember
okay.
that.
I don't know about that one. That was
19, one season, 19 episodes in, I'm having a hard time locating the year, 2012, 2013 timeframe.
Oh,
So it was after the Tron Legacy
Was
sequel.
it like a
Okay.
Sci-Fi Channel series?
Disney?
That sound
It was on Disney.
Really?
Disney.
Boy, I don't remember that one at all.
No, I
I
didn't
guess
see it.
maybe
Yeah.
I didn't want to watch it because after seeing
it looks like it
Tron
was
Legacy.
Animated because it's saying voices of.
Oh,
So all the characters are
okay.
voices of, but listen to voices of Elijah Wood, Bruce Boxleitner,
which is
that's
the
how you pronounce
original
his-
film.
Mhm.
He's from the original movie.
Mandy Moore,
okay.
Paul Rubens, and other people that I don't really know, but someone. But point is yeah,
It had some
Well, there we
star
go.
power to voicing it. Yeah.
yeah.
If you really
David
want to see
Arquette.
if you really want to see a good movie about being in a video game, Wreck-It Ralph. Watch Wreck-It Ralph.
yes,
Wreck-It Ralph was
yes.
really good.
Wreck-It Ralph
Yes.
does it so well, so
Yes.
good, so much fun.
Yep.
That's the movie you want to see.
Love that movie.
Yep.
So
and
one of
even
the
the
nice
sequel
things-
So,
was good too.
Yeah.
so is this how we all feel about Explorers? That it's much more fun to talk about Tron. I feel like this is what
Yes.
it should be called. Explorers. Let's
Sorry,
talk about Tron
kids, but
instead.
yes,
But
we are comparing
also-
contrasting.
Oh yeah.
It
Yes.
made me remember. So, I'll tell you, I can't remember if I've seen this movie before or not. There were times I was watching this movie and I'm like, this looks familiar. And then there are times where like, this does not look familiar. So I might have seen this, but, might not have. I have no idea. But it did remind me of a couple other movies that
Mhm.
in future episodes I want us to talk about.
Can the last
also
Starfighter
80s.
be one of them? Because
That was one of them.
Which
I've
one?
been
Yes.
wanting to
Commended.
watch that for a long
The
Which
time.
Last
movie?
Starfighter. The
Oh,
Last
the
Starfighter.
Last Starfighter is great. Oh
We
my
Is
have
it,
to
god!
talk
so
about that
I
one.
think it's actually good.
Oh,
like
with
I
the music
rewatched
man
it a few
in
years
it.
ago.
He's the music man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still
Now,
very good.
Oh my
the
gosh.
other one, I'll
Right
tell you
here in
guys
Nervous
after
City.
we're done.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys after we're done. I don't want to tell our audience the other one that
Okay.
I have planned because I'm excited
Okay.
because it was the other one that I've planned. It was one that I watched a bunch of times when I was maybe like in 7th or 8th grade or eighth grade or something like that. It was really cute and I loved it at the time. And y'all will find out why later.
Okay. And I will mention
Cheers.
another film
It's not fair to our
about.
listeners.
Okay.
I know.
Here's another film much better than
I'm
this
sorry, listeners.
about kids in school who encounter an alien who turns out to be a child and they save the world. I bring you the great animated film Chicken Little. Have you ever seen
Ah.
Chicken Little? I love
Yeah.
You know
Chicken.
what?
Oh my God, Chicken Little is fantastic
I
movie.
think I've seen it,
I'm
but I don't
thinking of
remember
Chicken
the
Run.
alien.
When you said, I'm like,
Oh,
wait,
I
yeah,
don't
what?
remember
yeah.
it being an alien.
Chicken Run is
either.
popping
No,
into my
there's
head.
an alien that's
Chicken
inadvertently
Run.
left behind by his parents as they leave, and they encounter with him. They have to protect him. It's really one of those great little adorable films. Chicken
I
Little.
went to the theater to watch Chicken Run, Chris.
Oh,
Chicken
Chicken
Run.
Run. That was cute.
Yeah.
The new one?
Chicken
The-
Run's great.
The new one?
No, the one that had Mel Gibson as the main character, voicing
See?
the
Oh,
main
so that
character.
was like the original
See,
one.
Yeah.
Our discussion of
Completely
explorers.
left Explorers.
No,
Wow.
but it's allowed us to say what else is out there that's in the same theme as this movie.
We're exploring.
That did it.
We're exploring the opportunities.
We're explorers.
Here's what I want to thank our friend Christian Fox for introducing this movie to us, because now I have another Jerry Goldsmith album I can look up on Spotify and enjoy. So thank you, Chris, from the bottom of my heart.
And
Yeah.
you can listen to it without watching the movie. So you're good.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
No,
right.
and I do want to say like again, there are plenty of other films that are way worse than this one even. So this is to me this is kind of one of those middle of the road sci-fi films. A good attempt, like it's unfortunately they didn't go all the way, or they rushed it to get it out in the summer. And they didn't do a good job editing it, all that stuff. The word of the day is editing.
Editing.
I just
Drink. Everyone take a drink.
I just, I just think
water.
that I wish the film was better because I think it has great potential to have been charming all the way through and much more memorable than it actually is. So,
and as another little note on Wikipedia, another little note about Wikipedia, the original director of this film was going to be Wolfgang Petersen. However, he wanted to make it in Germany. The production company said, "Nein, we're not going to let you do that." So they brought in Joe Dante. And what did Wolfgang Petersen do with his spare time? Made Enemy Mine.
Oh.
Gosh darn.
Yep.
Which I think was much stronger.
Circle. You're right,
it's
Chris.
The circle of films, and I'm sorry,
but it makes you. I think that's worth discussing for at least a second or two. Is
sure.
Directors matter. And
yes, they do.
Would Wolfgang Petersen said we're not rushing this and not editing this we need to make sure we edit this well.
Well, remember he was brought in to fix Enemy Mine,
right? So I wonder, and I know sometimes studios take over and they there may not be much of a choice in the long run, but I feel like a good director, the right director, can make a difference in how
they can
a
push
film
back.
feels. Yeah. And, I think when you look at the films that Wolfgang Petersen directed versus the films that Joe Dante directed, no disrespect to either filmmaker, but I think you got to say Petersen has more films that are true classics.
Yes.
And so, and I don't know if I don't know. Maybe there are filmmakers out there. Chris, you can tell us this one day. There might be filmmakers out there that are looking to make classics. There's filmmakers out there just wanting to tell stories. And they have their niches. And so, Joe Dante definitely has a type of film that he makes. If you look at his sheet of movies, that are Joe Dante-esque films. Same thing for Peterson.
Gremlins.
Same thing for Spielberg. Same things for, put any director in there. They've all got a style and flair. Some are more eclectic than others or diverse than others. But, I think they've all got kind of their way and their style, and it shows through the films. So...
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think if you have a strong director, you can. I think you can definitely. He probably would have made improvements, even if it wasn't to the script. He could have maybe taken different takes and edited things slightly better. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
And again, one of the most. I'm sorry, Chris, because we kind of touched on it, but I feel like I was most disappointed by the fact that they spent a few minutes talking about Earth's destructive nature. And even though it was in film, really, they were trying to say, yeah, we kill a lot of stuff, that's how we resolve stuff, like I think they were trying to have some sort of message there. But it just fell so flat. It was another part of the film where they went there for a second, then backed right off and never went back,
Yeah. It's just like they did their thing. They went on this adventure. They came home and that was it. There's no their lives aren't any different. They're still miserable. They're still doing badly at school. I shouldn't say they're all miserable, but there's not. Yeah. I think we can go on and on about why it doesn't feel complete.
And that's the resolution that was never, as I mentioned earlier, the third act did not solve the problems of the first act.
I want the Adina / Big Sci-Fi remake of this.
Well, you're in charge of making films.
Yes, I'll write the new script.
Okay, you go.
Okay, we'll collaborate.
Can I play the sheriff, the old sheriff who always dreams of having gone in a spaceship? Only I get to this time. Okay, I get to go as well.
Oh, and sorry. One last thing we have to mention. Oh, we did already talk about Robert Picardo. But the sheriff, I can't remember the name.
Yes,
the
Dick
name
Miller.
Of the actor.
Yes, I know where you're going. Go there,
also,
please.
DS9.
Yes.
Past tense.
Past tense 1 and 2.
1 and 2, yes.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He wasn't a police officer. What was the?
Yeah, he
law
was. He was.
enforcement
He was a
person?
law enforcement
Like a police
guy.
officer, right?
Yeah. Yep. Great role in that 2-part one of my favorite. I need to watch that 2-part episode of Deep Space Nine again. It's been way too long since I watched it. I watched that over and over when it first came out. Recorded it on VHS, sat there with the remote control, Chris, took out stopped recording at the commercials. I could watch that thing commercial free for about 5 years. Wore out the VHS
you took out
tape.
commercials.
I didn't.
My old tapes have commercials. I want to find them because I miss some of those old classic 90s. Let's be clever. I don't know. They were fun. I love commercials. Are there any other final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I do. Jerry Goldsmith, his music was phenomenal. I just want to say,
come for the movie, enjoy the music is what Brian say. Okay,
yeah, exactly. Watch the trailer for the movie, and then just listen to the album. I think you're good.
Yeah. Now we've covered all. I mean, all the things I wrote in my final thoughts have been covered in our discussion. Brad, lack of a sequel, Chicken Little being better.
No, we don't need a sequel. No, this doesn't. No, we don't want a sequel. We want a remake, not a sequel.
Yeah.
Right. No. Okay. I'm all for that. Let's contact Mr. Spielberg. Stevie,
Okay.
Hey guy. Let's revisit. You like to revisit? He just redid The Color Purple. How about redoing Explorers? With a current
Steven
quality.
Spielberg directed the musical Color Purple.
The new one? No, I don't think he did the new one, but I mean, he was executive producer on it. But he did direct the original film.
I didn't know that for some reason.
Yeah, I'll shoot him a text and we'll report back in a few weeks if he gets back to me.
Chris, I had fun talking about this film. Thank you.
Thank you. This was fun. It's funny because when I asked for your opinions, the way you're like, Chris, and you're like, you all started off saying Chris, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why do I feel nervous? I didn't make this movie. I'm not involved in it, but I had I'm on a competition show, and the judge is like, all right, well, Christian, you got to give you an A for effort because you tried really hard.
I think
Chris, nail it this time.
Yeah, I think part of it is just the moonfall syndrome. You're trying to avoid another moonfall,
but
episode.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
Well,
this movie is cute and has heart. This movie is cute.
Yeah. Moonfall, I still argue, is a solid 5.5, 6, but that's a whole other discussion.
5.5 out of 6 or out of 10?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Out of 100.
Yes, out of 100, not out of 10, please.
I think we had this discussion already. Yeah. We had a whole episode
of how they defaced my shuttle, the Endeavor in that film. How dare they write the words they did on it?
How dare they indeed?
How dare they? Oh my goodness.
But what I will say is thank you everyone for another great discussion. We had a lot of tangents this time. We discussed a lot of other movies other than Explorers, which I loved because I think you have to. But yeah, it was fun. Again, definitely check this movie out. Maybe just watch the trailer. Go listen to the score, and I think you'll have a good time. Just remember to stay safe, watch some really good sci-fi, and please don't knock down a kid's pile of books for no reason. And on that note, see you next time.